Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little teaser of Shelter. So again, we're here with Ryan Soria, who's the director of The Shelter. And we want to spend some time talking to you today and interviewing you about many things.
Excellent.
Who wants to begin? Who wants to start with the first question? Nicole, would you be interested in
Sure.
asking Ryan his first question?
I just want to know, how do you feel about winning the People's Choice?
Oh my God. We were ecstatic. It was crazy. We were watching the film festival Sunday, or I guess we were watching the live updates or whatever Sunday evening, and there was a little bit of an internet connection with the update, and we heard People's Choice went to Rye, and I was like, wait, did we just win? And we had to
Did it cut out the internet?
Yeah, it cut out, and we were like, wait, did we win? I was like, no, we didn't win. It's fine. And then somehow we got updated that we won, and we were through the roof, and I called the whole cast and crew, and yeah, it was fantastic. Everybody was ecstatic. It is a huge honor to have our first film festival for this on this run of this film, to come out with an award is just insane.
That's so fun. That's exciting. Well, we are so happy as well, and we know that all the people in Great Falls were excited to have somebody from their own town win People's Choice People's Choice Award. So that's wonderful to hear that you guys were so excited and celebrating about that.
Yes,
excellent. Thank you. Yeah, it was fantastic. We're so excited.
And I can continue on with a question for you, or we can move on. What do you think? Do you want me to continue?
Go ahead.
Keep going. You're doing great.
I'm just interested in knowing, Ryan, really, where did you come up with this feeling of creating a film that had this kind of suspense aspect to it? Where did it all come from?
Oh man, that's a big question. So I have been obsessed with horror to some extent for quite a long time. My dad and my grandfather, they all loved like old horror movies, and my dad would watch movies that we probably shouldn't have watched at a young age, but I fell in love with it. So I've always been really attracted to suspense and horror. So, you know, I kind of just naturally start writing that way, or you kind of just things, especially like, you know, in the time that this was written during quarantine, we were just all kind of like cabin fevered in a little bit, and you kind of start writing and kind of getting little ideas. And so we started, you know, just kind of leaned into that direction, and it's always just been kind of a staple of mine or one of my favorite genres to live in. And it's just on a low budget, it's one of the most fun ones to kind of mess around with too, because it's all about in-camera techniques and sound design and all that. So it was just the idea of it was a very fun challenge. So we just hopped to it.
Yeah, so you wrote this then during COVID, when this started, the pandemic? Wow.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. So we were shooting another movie, or trying to shoot another movie a couple of years ago, and we did what was it? We got together afterwards and we were like, oh, we kind of want to do like a cabin in the woods kind of film. And then we started writing this idea and we wanted to do a feature length film. And we were kind of talking about ideas. And we're like, oh, we should kind of maybe start with a short film that just has like a kind of like a calling card or like a proof of concept thing. And so for the last couple of years, we've been kind of dabbling with that. And then my producer partner, Benjamin Finley, who wrote the script, Shelter, he went off to Thailand last fall, I think. And so we kind of put on the brakes or whatever. And then he came back right as COVID hit. So I think he came back in February. And so right before everything got shut down, and we were both locked down for a while, and we're just like, well, let's just write this thing out and see what happens. And everything kind of changed a little bit and was more influenced by what was going on. And so, yeah, we spent, I think, March and April writing it and coming up with the idea, and then we shot it in May and August.
That feels like it was just yesterday. I mean, time has flown. May wasn't. So you produced that pretty quick. Yeah. That was a big, quick turnaround time.
It's crazy. This year feels like 7 years and 6 months at times. It's hard to kind of wrap it around between the pandemic, the election, and the film. My brain is scattered in 3 different places, and so we went. We worked really quickly over the summer. We kind of took a break. And then at the end of the summer, in August and September, we finished up shooting just in time to make it into the festival. So we were running. We were
you got it in though. Yeah. You made it happen.
Yeah.
So Tim, what kind of questions do you have?
Ryan, I was really, when I saw your film, I was really taken by the cinematography. As a film geek myself, I mean, what camera or cameras did you use?
So we primarily used it's a Sony FS7. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a middle grade cinema camera, or like in the lower tier of that. We shot, I want to say 99% on that, and then there's a few bits that we were running in. We did like the kind of weird camera angle thing. We used a Panasonic GH5, it's like a small mirrorless DSLR camera. We put that on a gimbal to be able to keep up with the actor while he's running through the woods, and then to do the kind of the crazy camera turns in the middle of the film.
Yeah, it just the camera techniques that you used were just phenomenal. I was just like blown away, and I thought they just added to the overall ambiance of the film itself. But it was just an incredible thing to watch. I really enjoyed it. My other question, Ryan, would be as you were shooting, what problems did you encounter as part of the shooting process, if any? Maybe it just went so smoothly that
some of it went really smoothly, but there were a lot of challenges for sure. As any movie, you're just constantly dealing with problems and putting out fires. But this movie takes place at night primarily, and we decided to shoot this at probably the worst time of the year to do that. We shot this I want to say at the end of May, and so right when you have the least amount of nighttime. So I think the biggest challenge for that was, we couldn't start shooting until 9:30, 10 p.m. And then we'd shoot all through the night until about 5:30, 6:30 when the sun would come up. And this is out in a cabin out in middle of Montana in the forest. And so we would shoot all night, and then the sun would come up. We'd have a beer or a drink to kind of celebrate the night, and then we'd sleep for the next 6 or 7 hours if we could. Wake up, have breakfast at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then just kind of get ready, plan out the shoot, do a little bit of editing from the night before, and then do it all over again. We did that for we took 2 trips to the cabin, and so I think we did 4 or 5 nights where we shot. all the
Wow.
way through the night. And so that was probably the biggest challenge, was just trying to like get that all done. We were kind of stressed on, we gotta get this many shots done before the sun comes up, or, and not trying to be too loud because we're by a lake and, sound travels. We didn't want to be disrespectful to anybody. And then, God, I keep talking about it. It was the 4 o'clock in the morning hour. That was probably the worst. Everybody was super tired. It was just, everything was irritating. There was one shot in particular, we couldn't get the fog outside to go the right direction. The wind kept taking it, or the light wouldn't hit it right. And it was probably one of the most infuriating shots to shoot. And it was so simple, but it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And so we're just like, oh my God, how come this isn't working? Or we were racing together to get one last shot of just a close-up of the door handle. And it was surprising that just a close-up, nothing else. It wasn't a hand or anybody else in it. It was just a close-up of this door handle. It was so hard to shoot, to make it work with the rest of the film, to cut it in so it didn't look weird. And we kept trying all these different angles, and the sun was coming up, and we were like halfway packed down, and it was just like, oh my God. So yeah, those little bits of shooting on location, in real time, it made it more fun, but it definitely had its challenges for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is just amazing.
Well, that was a good question, Tim, because I was thinking the same thing. The majority of the film is at night. And how do you get enough light in the space to be able to record it with good quality, and things like that. So I can see that would be definitely challenging. You have to know what you're doing to be able to be successful in that.
It was a challenge for sure. And that was definitely the technical side. I think if you ask the actors, I think the hardest part for them was at the beginning of the film, there's a big dialogue scene in what we call the witching tree, which is actually a sculpture out in Lincoln, Montana. And we got permission to use it, but we didn't have permission to shut down the exhibit. And so we're shooting this movie with two actors doing a pretty heated dialogue scene while people are outside trying to look in and see what's happening, or like acting to walk into the sculpture. And so these two actors are trying to keep their focus and do the scene while people are walking in and out. And I felt so bad for them, but they were troopers, and they crushed it at that. It was quite impressive.
Wow. Oh my God. Well, good for all of you. I just have one final question, Ryan. What keeps you going as a filmmaker?
I have no idea. I ask myself that sometimes too. I don't know. It's I've wanted to be a filmmaker since I think 8th grade. One of my buddies who actually helped work on this film, I was in 8th grade, and I came into school, and I was like, I was complaining about a horror movie that I watched the night before and how terrible it was, and it was garbage, and I could do better and all that stuff. And he got annoyed with me, and he was like, well, then write something better, like just like a challenge to shut me up. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I started writing, and it was a terrible script. It was a terrible idea, but I found out that I loved it, and that's what I wanted to do. And I was always a big fan of make believe and playing pretend as a kid with the neighborhood kids, and running around the streets with lightsabers and all that. So I think it just in me. And since I got 8th grade was 15, 16, probably more than that, 17 years ago. And I haven't left that course. I of course worked other jobs to kind of make this happen, but it has always been in my brain. I'm always trying to write and always trying to practice and make better films. And yep, there are times at night I'm like, why am I still doing this? Like, how is this even possible? But there's just there's something in with me that I can't let it go, and I keep moving forward, and everybody's still sticking with me. And that's probably the most insane part, is that people still want to do this with me and keep signing up to do more films, and especially ones that are so time consuming, like Shelter. I mean, we had to go away to the mountains for a little over a week, spread out, but a little over a week. People had to dedicate their time, and during a pandemic, you know, to come out and shoot and stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning and shoot and all this. And it's just, it's a crazy idea to think that so many people would want to help and make this thing happen just to play pretend in the forest with a couple people and a camera. It's crazy. I have no idea what the driving passion is on that, but it's just something that we all love to do, and we want to do more of it. So we just go out and do it. It's a crazy thing.
Well,
Excellent. Well, yeah, it's
passion for
passion.
film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you're all very good at it. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot.
Oh. So I have a quick question for you. You know, how many people were part of your crew for this film?
We had 8 people. So we were all doing multiple jobs. So we had, I was directing and running camera. I also had a director of photography that was helping me run camera. His name was Gary Trochi. Him and I own a business here in Great Falls called Chimera Films, where we do a lot of commercial work, but we also do these short films when we have the time and the budget to do that. And him and I ran the camera and, you know, figured out the lighting situations and all that. And then we had the 2 actors. And then depending on what shoot it was, we had 2 or 3 production assistants. And then of course, Benjamin Finley was the writer and producer, and he was on. And God, we were all doing jobs, moving chairs, moving couches, moving things, doing the little slate and all that, running microphones, pulling focus. It was, every crew member had about 3 or 4 different jobs at one given time. But it was great. You know, we wanted to keep it small, and you know, COVID definitely came into play. We wanted to keep it small and kind of isolated from everybody else. And then at the same time, it's hard to get, you know, more people to dedicate their time to do something that takes so long to create. I mean, it's only a 15-minute film, but the hours that go into it and the dedication that goes into it, it's quite a huge commitment. And we didn't have any, this is all self-funded. It was all self-funded production. So people are just doing this because they love it and they want to have fun. So it was the casting crew, I cannot talk them up enough. Like, again, the fact that they want to come out into the woods and make pretend for hours on hours, but it was hard work. It was hard work to do all that. It's not all, they say it's all fun and it's all great, but it's just crazy. It's a lot of work to make a 15-minute film, you know, work. So
yeah, how many hours do you think it takes to put together a 15-minute film? And on average, would you say?
So, man, I think Ben did the math, and I can't remember what the math came out to, but we spent just editing the film. God, I would say editing the film took at least, I want to say, it's got to be over 100 hours into editing the film. When it came to editing and sound design and recording, all this, we did ADR for part of it, and, you know, talking to sound technicians and stuff like that, doing surround sound, the actual shooting of it, the lighting of it. God, I can't even give you a number off the top of my head. Ben did the math, but it was for every, I think he said something, but for every second in the movie, it's a 15-minute film. For every second in the movie was at least an hour of work. I think something like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it was an insane amount of work for it, and everybody that's involved. Again, travel time and, you know, stepping away from work when they could to make it happen. It was just an insane endeavor to do something on such a small budget.
Yeah. And so I have one more, you know, a couple more questions, but one more, you know,
Please.
So independent film festival, you know, independent film, what does that necessarily mean? Does that solely means that it is self-funded? Is that correct?
Yeah, in a sense, the world of independent film is crazy. It's kind of a big bubble. You can talk about films like ours that we all paid out of our paychecks to make this thing happen. You can get funding from other places, and it can still be, you know, you can get grants or, you know, have an investor and it's still an independent film. In fact, you can even count the Star Wars prequels, or even everything after, except for like the newest ones and the first one that came out. Those are all independent films too. Those are all paid by George Lucas and a few other investors.
Okay.
So there's like the big tent that if it's not a studio, like if it's not Disney or, you know, Paramount funding you, then it's an independent film, or, you know, you can be a bit more micro about it and be like, okay, like these independent filmmakers who are just out of film school and paying it with their own money, or, you know, have a couple investors here and there. Those ones are, you know, it's a big thing. It's a big bubble, I guess, a big umbrella that it kind of encompasses. And we are definitely at the smaller end of that umbrella.
Hopefully not forever, you know.
You
just keep going. I mean, that when you're passionate for something and you know that's where your passion lies and your interest lies in this lifetime, you can't give up. You just do it, you know, regardless of resources. You figure it out. And I think that's what artists do, and that's what it takes, you know, as an artist. If you want to be successful or show your work to the world, you have to just keep doing it, you know.
Keep going. We've been making movies for 15 years now. It started off with camcorders. Really crappy camcorders, no microphones, no lights, nothing. We made a quick little zombie film in high school. And then I watched, I found an old video. Oh, it was so much fun. It was great. It was we had no script. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just having some music. We're just like, let's go out and shoot. I'm still proud of it for what it was. And then I looked at a video that I did about 10 or 11 years ago, and a lot of the same crew that worked on that film actually worked on Shelter. And I sent them in our little group message. I sent them a little clip of it. I'm like, oh my God, look how far we've come in 11 years. Looking at Shelter, and of course winning a People's Choice Award is just like, oh my God, like it's insane. So we are all energized, and we are all we're taking a little bit of a break right now to kind of like regroup, but we're talking about new stuff. There's Ben is actually working on a full-length script within the story of Shelter, actually, to hopefully maybe pitch to get a feature film made out of it. So we'll see.
Be thinking of you. That's awesome.
Thank
so
you.
Nicole, do you have any other questions for Ryan?
Well, really, I mean, the thing that I feel like I wish I had asked at the beginning, and maybe just bringing it full circle to the beginning of our conversation, is we talked about the technical aspect and the funding and the experience. But now I wish we had said a little bit more, maybe we could speak briefly to it too, about the storyline. You know, we talked about how we're a little bit, Tim was talking about, you know, the camera use, and you spoke to even just focusing on that creepy doorknob as it turned, you know. So tell us more about the creepiness. Tell us more about that story and the meaning behind it, if you want to, you know, to those people who haven't seen, maybe they didn't get to watch the film festival and they're not really quite sure what's going on, you know, even from the clip. I don't know how much you want to share about it without them not seeing it yet, but I think it would help a little bit, you know, to talk about where that came from, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I guess just a quick, brief synopsis about it is it's a kind of homage to classic Cabin in the Woods films. You know, being kind of stuck in a cabin while creatures or other entities are outside kind of trying to get in. But we really wanted to do something different. You know, we didn't want to do a horror gore kind of fest kind of film, like say Cabin Fever or something like that, or a slasher film like the Friday the 13th kind of films. We want to do something a little bit more different and a little a bit more atmospheric horror, where, you know, the setting and the mood really kind of give to the tension rather than visuals of danger. And we decided that we really wanted to kind of stick into it on a personal level, for budget reasons, because creatures are expensive and blood is expensive and all that. But really, it kind of boiled down to like, how do we tell a story that's a little bit more, unique and fresh in a genre, and especially in a certain magnification of that genre, and this kind of cabin in the woods / creature feature kind of film. How do we be a little bit different, a little bit more unique? And we decided to make it definitely a bit more character based. And so the idea of a 2-person ensemble and their relationship and their connection and their differing views and values, and how that kind of informs the film and the action towards the end of it, and how that kind of the internal conflict between that kind of moved forward. And we had a lot of personal stuff kind of put in there that we kind of twisted and warped a little bit. The writer of this film came back from Vietnam. After he went to Thailand, he went to Vietnam for a little bit, and he had met a woman and all that, and he ended up getting married and came back for a little bit, but he got stuck back in America and hasn't been able to go back to see his wife. And they were expecting a child at this time, and because of COVID, he has been stuck in America without being able to go back and forth. And so there was a lot of anxiety of marriage and childbirth and all that stuff that we just kind of wanted to tap into. None of it, what's in the story, actually kind of correlates with what's happened in real life, but there were just real life stresses and pressures and stuff that we wanted to lean into and just kind of explore that world and add a little bit more of a depth to our characters, rather than just a couple of teenagers running through the woods. We wanted to add a little bit more of a character to that. And so
Kinda
that
like
really
the
informed.
fear that mounts, right? The fear that mounts
Yeah.
in our own human psyche.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
a lot of it, like what's really happening in the real world is some of it's real, is it's not. All this stuff is just kind of packed in this film, and we decided to just kind of lean more into the human and character difficulties or conflicts that on a more personal scale than, say, chainsaws or knives or claws coming through or something like that. It was a little bit more personal.
Yeah, well, it was a lot about their relationship. And at the very, very end, that look in her eye said everything. That's how that ended. She knew what was going on. It's definitely worth watching, so where can people potentially see this film again?
So that is a very good question. We plan on, at the beginning of the year, doing a whole bunch of more festivals coming up. The score that was used in the film festival, for the P2 Film Festival, was actually a licensed score that we used. And actually last week, I just hired a composer to complete an original score for the film. And so once that's complete, it'll be re-released as still the same movie, just a little bit better music. So we're hoping to have that done early next year, and then more film festivals to come up as that happens. So if they want to keep tabs on us, we are on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we have a website, and you can just find us underneath Chimera Films. That's KYMERAFILMS. Yeah, so early next year, there should be another opportunity to watch it. And we'll have an actual trailer, a bit more robust trailer coming out here pretty soon to kind of tease a little bit more of it. So
great. And we'll keep an eye on that too. And when that comes out, let us know, and the Square can share
Absolutely.
that. So how can the community of Great Falls and beyond support you?
Oh man, that's a big question. Honestly, like us personally, or like artists?
Yeah, your film company.
Oh, God, that's a big
Because
question.
you do a lot of commercials as well for companies, don't you? So you shoot
Yeah.
commercials and things. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've seen some of those. They're really nice.
Yes, Chimera Films. We our passion is narrative and music videos and all stuff, but those usually cost money. They don't they don't pay very well, if at all. And so we do commercial work to kind of help fund these projects and also keep our livings up. And so, in the community, if they wanted to support Chimera Films and future productions, you contacting Chimera Films for, any sort of projects or whatever to film or whatever, that's huge. Or, donations for film festivals and stuff like that. We've been accepting that. A lot of people have been super generous. We weren't expecting that, but after starting to kind of tease it out with this, the P-Squared International Film Festival, it's been, people have been trying to ask how to support. And so we opened up a Venmo for that to support future festival runs, because that's not a cheap endeavor either. So, yeah.
Well, wonderful. So basically, you guys, you can look up Chimera Films and support Ryan that way. You can Google his film company and reach out to him that way, I'm sure through your website. And we look forward to seeing other things that you end up producing. If you also want to see any of the commercials that he produces and things, go to his website. They're all on there. They're very impressive. And I know during this time also with COVID, a lot of people are needing assistance with filming and production and things like that for their businesses. And that's definitely a great way to help fund Ryan as a director and a producer to continue making films. All artists need to make a living, and they need the support from people that are interested in film and the arts to help make that happen. I mean, film makes the world a better place. We all love it. Everyone. I don't know a single person that can ever tell us that they don't enjoy film of some kind, right? So Nicole and Tim, do either of you guys have a last question before we wrap it up?
I'm good. This was just great. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And the whole cast and crew sends their thanks and their appreciation for even considering Shelter. We're all just over the moon about being in the film festival, and then winning People's Choice has just been a huge honor. So, like I said, everybody in the cast and crew is very, very appreciative and send their thanks to all of you.
Well, thank you. And we thank all of you, and thank you for believing in the Square and submitting to our film festival. Again, we'll be doing this every year. So our second annual will be coming around next. I'm thinking next year we'll probably be doing it more in January than in October, but that gives us a little bit more time to get submissions and things like that. So we will certainly be letting you know, Ryan, when that comes around again, and hopefully there'll be something new you can present to the world.
We have some ideas. We may or may not be working on stuff, so we'll see what happens next year.
Cool. Awesome.
The mystery continues.
The suspense. You're going to keep us on the edge. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks again. My name is Sarah Justice, Executive Director at the Paris Gibson Square Museum of Art, here today with Nicole Evans and Tim Lugdren and Ryan Soria, who is a producer for the movie Shelter that won P2 Film Festival's People's Choice Award. So thanks again. You guys have a great day.